Okay, let's start with probably the most widely used MIDI effect, and that is an arpeggiator. Now, arpeggiators, you'll find arpeggiators actually built into a lot of synths, but if it doesn't have one, if you're working with a synth that doesn't have an arpeggiator built in, then here you go. This is your arpeggiator. So here's what it does. I'm going to go to this track that is just my chords, and I'm going to solo it. I'm going to put an arpeggiator on it. Okay, so you'll see that as predicted, it comes before the instrument. So we have MIDI data coming in, MIDI data coming out, and then it gets converted. So an arpeggiator is going to take a chord progression and it's going to play it one note at a time. It's effectively going to do this. So here's our chords, right? If I do this, and then this, whoops. Say I take this and do this. I'm just going to duplicate this chord. You don't have to do this to use arpeggiator. I'm just trying to show you what it's going to do. Now it's going to play it one note at a time. It's basically going to do this with our chord. It's going to play it one note at a time, going up and then going back down. But we don't need to do anything to our MIDI, so let's undo all of that, because it's just going to do this for us. And we have a lot of control over how it does it. So it's going to take a chord progression and play it one note at a time, going up. So now that we've put an arpeggiator on this track, it sounds like this. Even though this is my MIDI. Okay, neat. But let's make it a little more interesting. Let's look at our controls here. So style. In our style here, it's going up. So it's trying to go all the way up our it's going through each note we've given it and going up. We can change that and we can say go down. Neat. We can say go up and then down. Right? Or any of these other ones that you want to play around with. I like the random ones. Random just means random notes. Random other means random but don't repeat a note. And random once means, I believe, random but only play each note one time, which if you have two of the same note in it, random other will maybe play the same note because it's going to play a different spot. So they're pretty similar. Let's just set it to random. See, you can hear it repeating notes right away. Let's do random other, so it's always changing notes. Okay, we can apply a groove to get a little bit of a swing on it. Let's do a swing 16th, which we're not really going to hear because we're only doing eighth notes. So let's speed it up. Rate is how fast it's going. Right now it's on eighth notes, that's why we see 1/8 there. Let's speed it up to 16th notes. Now we'll hear this swing. That's a little annoying, so I'm going to turn that off. Okay, we can make it go faster. Cool. Okay, That's the main part of Arpeggiator. That's like 90% of Arpeggiator. The style and the rate. Okay? There are some other weird things you can do here, like transposition. You can do some things to the velocity. And you can set this re-trigger to do some interesting things. This has to do with when the pattern starts over. So if you have the pattern to go up, and it's going do 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 do, then if it's set to beat, on every beat it's going to start the pattern over. So it's always going to basically be going up in our case. If you set it to note, on every note it's going to start over, which in our case would be the start of every bar, right? Because here's where we get a new note. And if you set it to off, it's going to go for the whole duration of the chord, which is what it's doing now. The gate sets the length of the notes, so if you have sustained notes, you can kind of tighten them up. At this speed, we're not going to hear that, but if we go down to maybe eighth notes, we can make them shorter, which can be valuable. One thing I like to do with Arpeggiator is to do something like random other and then duplicate the track and set that one to random other also. Now you're getting two notes at once. And I'm getting some kind of bass tones in there from some of the lower notes, so I'm going to select one of these and move it up an octave. It's kind of a cool sound. Maybe I'll duplicate it a third time and take the arpeggiator off this one. So one time, just playing the notes, and then two arpeggiators. Turn this one down. Kind of a cool effect. So arpeggiator is really, really common to use just to give a chord some life. Now arpeggiator isn't going to do very much on this melody, right? Because there's only one note happening at once in this melody. Nothing to arpeggiate. So use it on chords.